Hello folks, I'm Sjoerd Wartena, co-founder of Terre de Liens, and I'm sorry to not be with you, but as you see I have still something around my neck which is healing which is restoring a cervical which I broke in December, but it's still not healed, and traveling is not easy. And I must say that sitting in the sun in my own place is not bad either. Secondly, I introduce you to Veronique Riofol, with whom I do the coordination of our international Access to Land group, and she is there especially to make corrections in my speech and to bring me back to the mainstream, because I like to go everywhere. Once I start to talk, it goes all directions. I must say, some weeks ago I saw with my wife the film of Frederick Wiseman, Berkeley, 4 hours long, but for us not long at all, because it brought us back to the roaring ends of the 60s, when my wife and me were there in the middle of Berkeley, in the middle of the boiling movements of flower power, of anti-Vietnam, of Black Panther. It was all together, and it was a very interesting and moving experience for us, and we were back in time. And I must say there is a direct line between that experience of us in the United States and our decision to go back to the land, because we visited the first back to the land communes in New Mexico, and we had a lot of contacts in the underground paper movement all over the States, and in fact we prepared ourselves to go back to the land. And as a matter of fact, we came back, and friends of us proposed us to start a goat farm in France. And so in 1973 we started a goat farm in the pre-Alps and left Amsterdam behind us. Well, after all, we became serious farmers, but before there were quite a lot of problems. But one of the things that made that I'm still here and that I should be with you, and what I want to tell to you is all related to what we met here. We met all the 6 old people in the village, in this little village where we're sitting now, and they were waiting to the end of the civilization. They were the last representatives of a chain of thousands of generations, where one generation taught the next one, and the next one took it over and made some adaptations to another time. But it were always small differences. It was a real chain. And when we came here, all their children were gone, and we came here and we learned how much these people knew about their land, about their culture, about their history. Very important today, knowing something about history, and how multifunctional they were in all their activities. And the only thing they couldn't do was, in this fast changing technical world, where the future was the only thing that counted, they couldn't adapt to that. So they saw themselves as nothings. They were superfluous, and we said, no, you are not superfluous at all, and we think that what you know and what you do is a very good base for being very up to date in agriculture. And so, of course, we knew. We bought more machinery, we processed more our products and brought them to the market. But it was this contact that made that we are still here. And I still all the time use this example as the basis of what I think agriculture should be. We also here in Wartena, we found successors for our farm, and we even helped others to install. In 1973 lived 6 old people here. Today there are 34 people and 5 little enterprises, companies, who are having we make a a good normal living out of the work. So it can be done, but it is because we had here we wanted to change things, and then you can do it. But if you see in the whole of this area, there are about, let me say that in this little region there are 60 villages, maybe 10 are really growing and have new farms with people from elsewhere, but the rest is agriculture has disappeared, or is only big farmers use some pieces of land. Very soon after we started our farm here, I thought, what can we do to make this more widely known and more widely experienced? And then we saw that there are, of course, everywhere groups of friends and family who bring together money to put their son, their friend on the farm and help him to do the things. But that, and in France that was called Groupement Foncier Agricole, and you have certainly in the United States examples of that already a long time. And that is a very nice initiative, but it is local, it is occasional, and it is very vulnerable, because on the long run people get older, they want the money back, and if they take the money back, that brings in danger the farm. The farmer must make loans and so on. That is not the real solution. So we thought we should do this on a much more organized and bigger scale. I sought for people who wanted to help me to create a real movement of access to land with on a scale that people could invest and also could have their money back on a certain time. And that was therefore you need money experience, and you need juridical help. And that was very difficult to find. And all the people I talked about that said, well, show me first an example and then we go on. So it took just till the end of the 90s that I found at least a little group where we could think over this thing. And there was the Green Bank of France, the NEF, New Fraternal Nouvelle Economie Fraternelle, New Fraternal Economy. And they were very enthusiastic about the thing, and we started to think it over, what sort of investment company we should make, that not the investors should be the people who were all saying that. And then we found out that the best thing was to make a communitary company, which means that the people who invest are not the people who manage the firm. That was in fact the start, and very soon we had some 1,000, 2,000 shareholders. And today, which is 6 years later, we have about 9,000 shareholders. We possess 35 million euros. And which is mostly, the money is mostly coming from private people, and 7%, about 7% is coming from pension funds. That was one thing. The next thing was that we had we wanted to make a foundation, because the investment company could not receive gifts. And for that we should have a foundation. For making a foundation in France is rather difficult, and it took us years and years. And that foundation already have 7 farms as a given, and about 5 million euros as gift money. And it should, I think it should go much farther, because there is a very interesting thing next to that the foundation also can receive money, public money. And that means that if a city wants to have a local production of organic food, for instance, and they have some land that they own. They can give that to the foundation, and so if they do that, even if politics changes, the land stays in the foundation and will be forever organic land. So that is. I think this foundation can have a good future. And but the very important thing also is that we started immediately to have all over France, in all the regions, as you can imagine in the United States, in all the states, that you have a department of Terre de Liens. So we have 19 regions, and they are looking around for people who want to sell their land to Terre de Liens. They want they go to conferences, they go to markets to explain what we are doing, and that's a very important internal structure which makes that we are a real national movement. And so we have 2 financial structures and 19 regional associations plus a national association, and that makes that one of the we have today 2,000, let's say 6,000 acres, and we have about 150 farmers that are renting land from us, and these farms create work for about 200 to 300 people. It's all nothing, of course, but the fact that we are everywhere, that we find 9,000 people like that, and not with an enormous communication, not with national pages in the national papers and so on. It's all rather small communication system. We find 9,000 people who want to put average of 2,000-3,000 euros in as shares in Terre de Liens, and to leave them there rather long. The people who want back their money for the moment is a very tiny percentage, and that is not only astonishing us, but it's also astonishing the politics. A very astonishing aspect also is of this whole construction of shareholders and the investment company is the fact that these 9,000 people are ready to put money into that society, La Foncière, and they don't get, and as return on their investment, they only get a better environment. They get better food. They get the landscape is saved. An agriculture which is integrated in nature management. That's the only interest. Lately we have revaluated our shares from 100 to 103 euros, because we said we should at least follow the inflation. But that's the only thing the people get, and it's also for people who are, especially in this country where I talk to for the moment. It is something unimaginable that you put money somewhere in and you don't get money back. How is it possible?
So Sjoerd, maybe can you explain a little bit more about how Terre de Liens actually functions? Because we have the association, we have the investment company, and we have the foundation, and then we have the farms and the farmer. How does that work?
Well, that is the procedure is quite complicated, but because we grow bigger, things become complicated. But the fantastic thing is that we have this all over France, regional associations, and if people who have heard of Terre de Liens and who found a farm for them, but they had not money to buy it, they go to the regional association and say, can we get help from Terre de Liens? And then Terre de Liens of the region of Midi-Pyrénées, Rhône-Alpes, of etc. They go to see the spot, and they make a sort of a instruction instruction dossier about what they think of it, and then the regional assembly of Terre de Liens is saying, well, we think this is a very nice project, and we are going to propose it to the investment company. And then the investment company has an expert committee who is studying the dossier and says, well, and we want to know more about that, and that is who are the neighbors, how is the soil, is the soil good for that type of activity, and so on. And if they give the green light, then the managers of the investment company say, mostly they study also, they see the dossier, and they say, okay, then we sign. We have a system that about 75% of the shares around the project, we try to find that in the surrounding of the farm and in the region, and the rest comes from other investors all over France. And so these local committees play a very important role, first in getting this project started and accepted by the investment company, and then they have the whole. They stay to help the farmer with all his other activities and difficulties. And that is, for instance, we have here in the neighborhood a village a little bit like where we are now here, where we bought 2 farms. There is a local committee. They help the new farmers to start with equipment, with advice on the ground, with markets and also repairing parks and making roads and restoring roofs and so on. That is a very nice example of how these local committees help these people to get from the ground, to get started.
And can you maybe also give us examples of when Terre de Liens intervenes in the peri-urban areas? Because you spoke a lot about the mountain areas.
We have a very interesting example in a big city in the south of France. It is one of the most populated areas of France. Everybody wants to live in the Provence, and one of the cities there is Aubagne. There was a plot of about 3 hectares, practically not in the middle, but near the center of the city, with a big supermarket on the side who wanted to use these 3 hectares for making a parking. And the city government said, no, it will stay agriculture. And then we said, and they said, we buy the house, and you buy and Terre de Liens will buy the land. And then we asked what the price of the land was in that surrounding, nearby urban, peri-urban land. And it was 130,000 euros the hectare. So let us say about $160,000, which is of course completely nonsense to use that for agricultural land. And we said no, and we had a lot of discussions in Terre de Liens. People said, you are crazy, this is speculation, you are working on the side of our enemy, you should never do that. And we said, but the local Terre de Liens movement and the city said, please do it, because it is such an important gesture to show the idiocy of the land prices and the impossibility of recreating around cities a lively production of vegetables and food. if you do that, we can make of it an example how things should be. And so we said, okay, we do it. After all, long discussions and with a small majority, we had just a majority in the Council of Terre de Liens, National Council of Terre de Liens, and so we decided in the investment company, okay, we do it under the condition that you find the shares locally, and in a few months they arrived to that, and we bought it, and today there is a small farm, education with educational aspects, with CSA aspects, and with an enormous role. I hope they will more and more when they are good settled, they will play an enormous exemplary role to show that to other cities that you could have if you change your politics on land management. When you rent a farm, the law says you should manage your farm as a good family father, which is of course very, very large and will not say very much, certainly not today. And and we said, if we want to, our shareholders are putting their money in our investment company, but their return on investment should be better food. That means organic food, better surround. That means organic treatment of the land, but we had not the right officially to put that in our contract with our farmers. So. We found some other big foundations in France who own a little bit of land, and who are foundations who are very much going in the direction of nature and environment protection. And together with them, we proposed a law that for foundations, nature reservations, and societies recognized as solidarity of the solidarity and social economy, they have the right to make tenant contracts where there are rules, more strict rules about what you can do with the land, what we call a bail rural environnemental. That means environmental tenant contract. The big farmer syndicates were not at all happy about this, and they were in fact against it completely. But we succeeded. That means that if you have an initiative that has a certain dimension, even small, but there is a sort of critical limit. If you pass that, you can have a political influence which is relatively much more important than your size, than your dimensions. In fact, you must see Terre de Liens as a sort of a laboratory of that manages land as commons, and we think that if we want to make a proposal to politicians in France and in Europe and everywhere, we must solve still a lot of problems, but we are working on that, and I think we have quite some results and some proposals to make. What we learned here in this village and in our experiences on the small scale was that we should make it more easy for young people who want to make this audacious and brave move to the land, to make things easier, because politics are completely not doing that. Politics are waiting till they are forced to do that and till their election is in danger. Then they react, but otherwise they don't react. So we need to make a real counterforce, and that is of all these movements, is fantastic initiatives all over, in the United States, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. They are all scattered everywhere, and that is one of the things I am working on more and more, and I think I will spend the last years of my life on that. Is to say, if we are not going to create a stronger coalition, and where all these initiatives are made much better visible, if we don't have a group of people who are working on communication, who are doing research, we can make a database of nice examples. But how do we use this database, and how do we present it to the bigger public? We must say to the big public, if you want your food nearby, if you want to have it organic, or at least that you can see how it is done, you need change. You need not only to change education, you need to change the whole subsidy system of agriculture, and for that you need to have a real start where a lot of people are ready to integrate their initiatives in a bigger coalition, and I think it was very funny last time I read in the New York Times your national wise guy Thomas Friedman, who was talking about the computer business, and the robotizing of the industry, and he is saying already a lot of lower jobs are not there anymore and taken over by robots. But I see now, with the speed that the computer business is developing, very, very, very soon also the higher echelons, the higher jobs will be in danger and will be taken over. Maybe we go a little bit too fast, was his conclusion, his hesitating conclusion. And I want to cry to him, yes, it is going too fast. If you don't work you must not work on a greener agricultural policy, and you must not work on integrating agriculture in nature. You must work on the fact that there is a decline in peasant and family smallholder farming, and if we don't work on that, the only solution will be highly industrialized and robotized agriculture with an urban population who is listening music and looking to his Twittering and Facebooking, and if you read well A Brave New World, this fantastic preview of Aldous Huxley already in 1937, and after the war he re-edited the book, is quite actual today. And I want to work with you together on that, and I hope that I find a moment to discuss together again on this. Thank you very much.